This is the Inquisitive Minds Podcast.
Hey, thank you for tuning in the Inquisitive Minds Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Johnny Smith. With me today, my guest is a stand-up comedian, is a teacher, is a married man, and is a grantee of the Steel City Arts Foundation. Welcome to the program, Cavin Eggleston.
Hey, folks. How's it going? That is such a nice intro. I think that's the nicest intro I've ever gotten on a podcast.
Oh, man.
Normally, they're like, hey, here's a real piece of shit. We're bringing him up.
I mean, I'm sure at some point or another I've had real pieces of shit on here, but I try not to.
Yeah, it happens. You can't weed them out all the time.
And then since I've upgraded the studio in the home and I'm not recording at Todd so much anymore, I feel like I have to trust you at least a little bit to invite you into my home.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing you got to think of because, like most comedians, you'd be like, oh, they see you have a couch. Like, hey, can I live there? Is that okay?
I mean, I've told a couple comedians, you're coming through for a few days, you got some shows, you need somewhere to stay. I got you.
Yeah.
I live alone, so it's not a problem.
It's always nice to have a crash place.
I'll check with the roommate.
Yeah.
But I've thought about this, though, that you mentioned that. I don't think I would do this if I was a woman.
Oh, no.
Just because some people that come on the show are absolute strangers.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're remarkable people, but you never know.
Yeah, I had that realization the other day. I was at a gig, and a lady's like, well, I'm a booker. Give me your number, and I'll reach out to you for some stuff that I'm booking. I was like, okay. Didn't fact check anything about her. Just gave her my number. And I was like driving in the car, and I was like, oh, if I was a woman, I'd get murdered a lot. Like, I would not take care of myself. I'd be very dead.
I'm very fortunate. Like, I'm a big enough fella. Like, I'm not a giant, but I'm big enough to be able to protect myself for the most part, or at least be a guard dog. Like, oh, he's big and fluffy, stay away.
Yeah.
So, like, I've lucked out on that, but I've been thinking more and more lately because, I don't know, just doing the other podcast, I talk about these serial killers, and I just think how predatory people are, but most of the victims are women.
Yeah.
If just being frank.
Yeah. No, I definitely put out the bouncer at a not great bar vibe, really, with my appearance.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's like I'm looking in a mirror in an alternate dimension.
No, this is definitely like a what if I would have bought myself a tattoo gun at 14 like I thought.
It looks like you got all the love from the parents.
Yeah.
And I went down the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
It's our brother
I used
Johnny,
you
who's
as
always in trouble.
Used him as like an example of how not to leave my life.
Okay. So you're here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Because you're a grantee of the Steel City Arts Foundation. But before we get into that, you got that essentially because you're a comic first.
Yep.
So when did you get into comedy?
I've been doing comedy now for 3 years. So I got into comedy because I taught high school English.
I am impressed, by the way. I thought you had a lot more time in.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I get that a lot from people. And then I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm shit. So I appreciate little things like that.
I feel like as a comic, if you don't feel like you're a little bit shit at least, you're not going to improve.
I never trust a comic that always says they kill because I'm like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If Dave Chappelle came up to me and was like, I've never bombed, I'd be like, I think you're lying, Dave.
Yeah.
But no, I was teaching high school English. My school was like, hey, we need to create some elective classes to fill out our roster. And all my other English teacher people were like, oh, well, let's offer a college poetry. Let's offer a class on like advanced composition. And let's offer all these like really advanced courses in English. And I was like, hey, that really sucks for a kid that just wants to get through.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to graduate. Or like the kid that's like, I want to go work on cars for my life. I want to be a welder.
People forget that that's real people.
Yeah,
that want to do like not everybody wants some glitz and glamour.
Yeah, and I was also like in the whole thing they were pushing was like, well, we need to produce classes that do a livable wage job, which I'm totally support giving people classes that they're going to use in the working world. But I was also like, that's also kind of a bullshit mantra because there's 16 other hours in your day that's not work. So give something that's going to feed a person's soul a little bit. So
must be nice. 16 extra hours.
Yeah,
I wish.
Yeah, I was like, I know how I worked when I wasn't a teacher, and I was like, that's probably a different set of hours. But 10 hours, 12 hours. I don't know what people get anymore. I'm a comedian, so I sleep most of my day. And then I count like dreaming and being a little bit high as like work.
Oh man, then I never stop working.
I'm on that 24/7 grind.
Yeah.
But I pitched the idea. I kind of wrote it as a joke. I didn't think anybody was going to go along with it. I pitched this comedic literature class where my goal was to teach people like, why do we think things are funny? The whole goal is like, why do we laugh? Pitched it. School board loved it. And
It sounds like a big undertaking,
yeah.
by the way.
And they were like, oh, shit, we don't have anything that meets this like public speaking standard in the state of Washington, where I'm from Seattle. Can you make it so their final is stand-up comedy and we'll count it as speaking and listening, public speaking? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. Sure. Like, I can't believe you guys are agreeing to this. You're very dumb. Did you not read anything else that I wrote in there?
Yeah.
And then I was like, shit, I have to create this class. I have to add stand-up comedy into it. And I realized I've loved comedy. I've always loved comedy. I'd never done it before. And I hated teachers that would always do stuff like write a poem or write me a sonnet. And then you'd be like, well, I don't know how. We're like, well, just do it. Well, have you ever written a sonnet? No, but you should. So I didn't like teachers that couldn't take risks or they wouldn't put themselves out there. So then I signed up for a comedy class because I'm a teacher. So I always had to be a fucking nerd about everything.
You know what? People shit on comedy classes. I shit on comedy classes for different reasons, but I took a comedy class to start. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking one.
Yeah, Jesselnick did.
What I do is I shit on people who take the same class.
Oh, yeah.
Over and over and over.
If you've never done stand-up, a comedy class can be good
Mm-hmm.
because it teaches you basic joke structure. It teaches you
Well,
the
more
writing
than that,
process.
I didn't even know there was a scene in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. I had no idea.
Yeah, and I think it teaches you some of the good habits. I will say you can either take a class or you can do open mics for 6 months, and you'll end up about in the same spot. And sometimes the class can keep you from doing some of the embarrassing stuff that you see like the very first time.
I wish. I mean, yeah, I didn't run the light.
Yeah.
I moved the mic, but like as far as content, I feel like almost everybody starts off like, "Oh, throw that shit away, kid."
Yeah, you can always tell somebody that's taken a class and they actually took it seriously because they'll have like a premise and a punchline.
Yeah.
And then there's just some people that are like, I'm going to talk my 5 minutes.
You ever
because-
seen this street corner?
Yeah.
What's the deal with these fucking corners?
Yeah, so I did that first open mic, and I'm a dude that has really bad anxiety. I got in a car accident when I was like 23. Got in a car accident, shattered my hand, my right hand.
What happened?
I basically like looked down, ran into a car at 60 miles an hour on a freeway. They were stopped dead. I hit them real bad. And I was so anxious. Like, I was like, nobody pay attention to me. Just nobody look at the fat kid on the side of the road. I sat on the side of the road for 3 hours till like finally I got a ride. And we got to the emergency room and they're like, you're very stupid. I was like, probably. Refused to get into an ambulance.
Oh, wow.
They were like, you have to actually sign a waiver that we're leaving you on the side of the road. So I just sat there with a broken hand because I was too scared. I was like, I can never do. Oh yeah, it sucked. And then I was like, I can't do stand up. I'd get too nervous. So I got on stage, got that first laugh, and I was like, oh, this is the best thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Immediately, you get that
Yeah.
laugh, and you're like, "Oh fuck yeah, this is it."
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to not feel anxious. So like, I've never felt nervous on stage unless you're just royally eating shit.
Yeah.
But just like, I've never felt bad about that decision. And then like looking back, I'm like, I should have just tried heroin. That would have been probably the smarter play. It probably would have been cheaper at a certain point. I had to be thinner. Like, nobody pays you in chicken strips for heroin like they do comedy.
You got a drink tab tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, that's going to end well. We're comping your meal. Well, that's your fault.
Here's what I didn't like. And I'm not shitting on anyone. It's just their premise. I'm not a normal comic because I don't drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to one show, and they were like, "Oh, we're paying you in the bar tab. Here's like $35 in the bar." And I was like, "Well, that does nothing for me. They usually don't even charge me for a Diet Coke." So I was like, "Fuck it." I drank like 7 Red Bulls. I was like, "I'm going to get my money's worth."
Oh God, I could just see the bartender being like, "He drank $35 in mixers.
Yeah.
How do you drink? He had just a bottle of grenadine. What the fuck?"
I was like, I'm going to get my money's worth, and I left there because it was I don't want to reveal any details, but it was like 2.5 hours away. So on the drive back, I was just like, we're doing this now. Like, I was so jacked.
Oh man, I love how your version of like a Sam Kinison story where you die in a car accident is just because your heart exploded due to Red Bull.
That's fascinating, man. I didn't know that, and that's wonderful that you found stand up first off, because it sounds like that was crippling anxiety, literally.
Right, it was shitty. And yeah, it was funny how I went from never, like, I was an introvert, like I just wouldn't talk, and then just being like, no, this is fun, and now I'm like, hey assholes, pay attention to me. Fuck these 7 TVs in this room showing like major league professional athletes. This is my 5 minutes. This is daddy's time.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
So you took it for the class.
Yeah.
So how long were you doing stand-up when you actually like taught that class or put it in motion?
I had been, by the time I was finally teaching that class, it would have been like maybe 6 months in that time. And I leaned on like getting a network of local comics to come in and talk with students and work with students. And that was really cool. It's so funny because you would have some of these people that you really, in your scene, you looked up to, and then just seeing teenagers not give a shit. I'm like, oh, like I got this guy. He won the Seattle International Comedy Competition. Like he's been on, Nickelodeon and Netflix. And they're like, okay, but is he Jim Gaffigan? Or is he?
Yeah.
The worst one was like my kids being, every year I'd ask them like, who's your favorite comedian? And they'd be like, oh, I really like, Jeff Dunham. Those puppets are funny. And I was like, oh, fuck you kids. I'm going to fail all of you.
I obviously can't do what he can do, but goddamn.
I know. I was like, I would totally sell out and use puppets.
Oh, if I could, yeah.
To just sell out arenas like that. But I was just like, come on, kids.
A little racism.
Have a little respect for the art.
Jose Jalapeno.
It'd be like if I brought you kids, Shakespeare, and you're like, but we really like that. That Moulin Rouge. Can you do just more Moulin Rouge? I like when they sing songs that aren't the same as they were when I heard them the first time.
You know what? A lot of comedy though is humbling, and that's just another one.
Do you love this? I love this experience where you have a night where you just kill. You're riding high. You go to bed at like 3 a.m. because you're just the adrenaline from the good show, and then you wake up and you go to your job, and nobody gives a shit about what you just did the night before. That's the best feeling.
Yeah, when I won that main event with Matt a couple weeks back, like since I drive Lyft, who the hell am I telling that has any like, like the comics knew, but who you already know. There's no point in talking about it.
Yeah.
I can't only tell my mom so much.
Yeah.
It was just like, I got to keep this bottled in. Well, fuck.
Yeah, or if I do tell them, you immediately get them. They're like, well, tell me one of your jokes. And you're like, oh, this is not going to go well.
Especially at a roast.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're pleasant jokes for just a normal person.
Yeah, I have to set up the whole experience for you guys here. Now,
let me tell you about this guy. Yeah.
I would just keep a picture of Matt on your phone and then just be like, okay, now this is the guy.
This is what happened.
And this is what I said because he said.
Well, I'll just play the YouTube video at that point.
Yeah, and that video or that roast is tough because you guys go joke for joke with that timer.
Yeah.
That's a little bit trickier than even like a traditional roast battle where it's like stop, start, stop, start.
I was born in the chaos, man.
Yeah.
Forged in fire. I love it. Speaking of that, come out to Baltimore where I'm headlining Roast War Championship on the 4th of next month. Check me out in Baltimore versus Matt Brown. Don't know much about this guy, but I'm going to try and rip him a fucking apart.
Good.
That promo being said, so after you said you were 6 months in, started this class, how long were you pursuing it before you found out about the whole Steel City Arts Foundation thing?
So I found out about Steel City Arts Foundation. So SCAF is done by Steve Hofstetter, who
shout out to Steve.
Yeah. Good dude. He tries to every year he had what was called the Martin Grant, which is he gave $10,000 to comedians.
Real quick, if the name sounds familiar, Steve Hofstetter, but you guys can't place it, he does a lot of those videos. Shuts down heckler. Heckler beats the shit.
I always feel
puts
bad
racist cop in his place
when people know Steve just from those videos. Because I'm like, oh, actually watch some of his stand up. Because I feel like everyone has an opinion based on those heckler videos.
I tell you what, I've never seen his stand-up.
Yeah.
I've only seen those videos, but I became a fan off those.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's because I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But it takes a level of intelligence to deal with hecklers that effectively.
Yeah, and I've done enough shows with the dude now where because some people are like, oh, it's a plant. And I was like, I've been at enough of those shows. You don't want a heckler. He doesn't want to. It's just like, if these are going to happen, this is content I can put out, and I'm not burning my material.
It's just, and I don't believe it's a plant.
No.
I'm not in that camp at all. And I hate to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I hate to be that dickhead, but we're not talking about a racial issue, so I think it's fine. I can understand why people would believe that, just because where Steve stands.
Yeah.
Where his political leanings are. And for you to be so opposed to his views and still come to a show, assuming things are going to be different there.
Yeah.
And he's going to be like, Trump. And you're like, it's the stupidity of people, I guess, that blows me away than anything.
I can totally see there being, if you're selling out, 150 tickets, 200, 300 tickets, you're going to have one asshole that's there just to be like, I'm going to get him. Like, we were doing his merch line, and he makes it very clear, like, hey, please stop giving me, like, fuck, marry, kill questions.
Okay.
Because I've answered so many of them. Please stop. You're never going to get, every time in that merch line, you'll get somebody that's like, well, but I got one that's going to blow your mind. Did you think you were the special one? Is that what you think this is happening? Or they'd be like, hey, can you tell Steve what mine was? And then I was like, do you think it's going to sound better coming from me? Do you think he gives a shit what I say? Did you see how much time I did on the show compared to him? Yeah, he doesn't care what I think. But yeah, no, he did the Martin grant, and then he purchased a church during the pandemic, and is slowly converting that church over to a comedy club. It'll be about a 300-seater when it's all said and done.
Beautiful place. I've toured it. Gorgeous place.
Yeah, up in the Stanton Heights neighborhood. So it'll be a really cool space. But he also wanted to create kind of an artist hub. And in this case, we're calling comedy art, which always feels weird. Yeah, and
I fully embraced it at this point. I'm an artist.
Yeah, I do too. The same way like Subway sandwich people are sandwich artists.
I'm a dick joke artist.
Yeah, I'm just giving you the Mona Lisa with my Wang jokes.
Yeah. That's every comic about 3 months in probably. I got a dick joke that's gonna blow these motherfuckers away.
Your first year into comedy, if you don't have a joke about weed, your dick, and masturbation, you haven't done comedy.
Oh man.
And you always think you've got the new one.
Throw the word cock against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
Why are they offended? How dare they have brunch at this lovely cafe on a Tuesday morning?
How dare I surprise them with open mic comedy?
You don't want to hear about my sex life? Quit censoring me, you piece of shit.
Why don't you just appreciate free speech? This is exactly what the Founding Fathers intended. George Washington was like, I have a right to say dick jokes. Yeah. That's why they really fought the British. It was about teabagging.
The British kept telling them they were hacks and to write better material, and they were like, "Fuck this, we're moving."
Yeah, we're coming to America. We're going to do some dick jokes. Eventually, we'll solve that slavery thing. It'll sort itself out.
Open mic, 1776.
Oh God.
That's going to be a merch.
I want a shirt now with the snake with an open microphone on it.
There's got to be a Punisher logo beside it.
Yeah.
Don't tread on my stand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that is American open mic comedians.
America.
Can't do anything with them, is what I say.
That's funny. Fuck, marry, kill. Who would have thought that would be the one joke premise? And he's like, I'm done. I'm done with this one.
Dude, it's because he famously gets into Twitter fights with Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm not trying to make this a podcast about him or anything. Yeah. What the fuck is his deal with Kevin Sorbo?
I think it's because Kevin Sorbo is just a really outspoken dude.
He's irrelevant as shit, though.
With just obviously dumb opinions. There's a certain point where I'm like, Kevin, you got to know.
Yeah, I've seen the tweets.
But okay, did you ever see the Cameo that got sent to Steve?
No.
So you need to find it. I think it's still up on his Facebook, where it's somebody paid Kevin Sorbo to send Steve a Cameo.
Oh, that's great.
And it goes 20 seconds of hey, Steve, I hear you're a really nice guy. Then 10 seconds after that, it's him plugging his own shows that he's on, his own movies. And then at the 30-second mark, it's Kevin Sorbo just being and I just, I'm I'm wishing you a happy birthday because that's all we can do in this country anymore. We can't say anything, and like goes off into a right wing talking point, and you're like, huh? You can't exist a minute when somebody's paying you like $50 not to like spew your Fox News stuff.
I was wondering about that because Kevin Sorbo's price can't be that high.
Yeah, I wonder what do you think he charges on Cameo? Let's look that up.
I don't know. There were some prices on there that weren't too bad. Like I told this before, but I thought about paying Dennis Rodman just to come on here and say, "Hey, this is the Worm, Dennis Rodman. You're listening to Inquisitive Minds podcast."
You know, that would be. I've debated: is there a way to do like a movie that's just spoken word Cameo people?
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I wonder if you could get. But then think they all get really sensitive now because of like Brett Favre getting tricked into saying some racist shit.
How do you get tricked into saying racist shit? MC Auto Detailing is a home-based detailing company located in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. At MC Auto, we take care of all of your detailing needs, from a basic hand wash to a complete makeover of your vehicle. Busy schedule? MC Auto is also mobile. You can get your vehicle detailed in the comfort of your own home. With a 5-star rating on Google, we treat your vehicle as if it was our own. For a free quote and more information, contact MC Auto on Facebook and Instagram at MC Auto Detailing LLC or call 724-462-4863. MC Auto Detailing. Who doesn't like a clean car?
I think they just had like some stuff that like was very thinly coated.
I slipped, fell, dropped an N-bomb. What?
Yeah.
What?
Hey, this one, I don't think I can say this song.
Did they trick Brett Favre to unsolicited dick pics too?
Yeah. He's like, that was part of the Cameo.
He's like, that's just kind of who I am, guys. Sorry.
Oh man, he's $80.
That's surprisingly affordable.
$560 for business.
You can talk to Hercules for $80.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Cameo just on that. Like, just knowing that I can buy a comedian or like a person's time like that.
If I was in demand and could sell myself on there, in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, but I'm sitting there. I'm like, God, it's basically like cam whoring.
Yeah,
but just with your personality.
That's what it is.
Weird
for celebrities.
Yeah,
it's like Comic-Cons, digital Comic-Cons.
Yeah,
because you know how to go to Comic-Con, you see these all the guys from A Christmas Story are here. Oh, what else have they been in? That's it. They didn't act for 35 years, but they're here signing autographs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would love a birthday wish from Bobcat Goldthwait, is really what I've told myself. I just think it would just be weird. Like, I just don't know who that's for. I think, because if you got one for, like, a friend, who would you get, first off? And then second off, how big of a fan are they that would be an adequate gift for them?
I have this in the chamber, actually, unfortunately. I'm going to get Dog the Bounty Hunter, because he's on there, for my mother. For Christmas, just saying, whatever, a minute of talking to Mary Smith. Loved his show. We both watched his show. He had a book came out. Fell in love with the man after reading his book. She read his book. Big fan. She absolutely loves Dog. And was like, well, I mean, what do I get her? She, old women have everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to get her Dog the Bounty Hunter, being like, Merry Christmas, or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
We'll catch you, or brother. I don't know what he says.
I think I would get Steven Seagal.
Oh man, Steven Seagal. I would love to have him on the show.
I bet you could get him to say anything.
You remember Tom Segura's joke about him?
Oh yeah.
The messed up part is like it was so accurate.
Oh yeah. That guy's a nightmare.
I was in the police office 20 years. How, bro? How are you doing these movies and you're like a police officer like Shaq? He's a police officer? He's like, no, I'm on the beat. Like, okay, dude.
Sure.
All
sure
right,
you are, buddy.
Yeah, because you're in shape.
Yeah.
You're police officer shape.
Did you do that after Under Siege 2? I know there was a bit of a dry spell.
Didn't he do a movie with Ja Rule?
Yeah, a couple. He's done a couple of movies with Ja Rule. He's part of the Ja Rule cinematic universe.
Oh, my God. That would, that would make me want to do some changes to my life.
On which side? Like, are you Ja Rule and being like, I'm in this movie with Steven fucking Seagal. What have I done wrong? Or
honestly,
if you, Steven Seagal, being like, oh,
as much as I'm not a fan of Steven Seagal, I'm on Team Steven for this one. I'm just like, I'm working with Ja Rule. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I want no parts of Ja Rule.
Oh, man. Remember when you were working with like, Academy Award winner Gary Busey? Like,
yeah.
Come on. You can step it up, Steven. Step it up. Do some sit-ups. I don't know.
Do something.
Oh, man. I spend too much time with all these girls I've sex trafficked.
Come here. Let me see your wrist. Stand perfectly still. I'll show you how to hurt you.
Yeah.
Huzzah.
Okay.
Aikido.
I had never watched until this year Under Siege, and I was like, oh, this was a movie that my dad like banned me from seeing, but bought multiple VHS copies of because he wore it out. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, these movies were like just beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Pretty much with shitty acting.
Oh, my favorite part in that movie is when Gary Busey spits in the soup, and I'm like, that's your soup, you idiot. You're going to be served that.
Yeah, classic movies.
This is the Navy. It's not like they're throwing that out.
Yeah. So, he bought this church.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had a point, Steve
Yeah.
Hofstadter, at a certain point, and then we got very far off track. So he bought this church, and he wanted to make this art space. So there's a house that's is next to the church. That's now the Martin House, where he'll have comedians come in.
Is that where the rectory would live?
I don't know. Like, I don't know church parts.
I'm just going to be honest. I just wanted to use the term rectory.
Yeah, it's a rectory. Damn near killed her.
Yeah, rector. Damn near killed her. What did Ben Kissel say? Rector damn near gave her a promotion at the job.
Yeah. I don't know if this house. I don't know if it's God's like little brother's house or what.
Okay.
He gets the main church. He lets his little brother sleep in the other place. But
Joe Christ lives there.
yeah. One of the lesser Christs. He's trying to get his shit together.
He's a metal worker.
Yeah. It doesn't get the fame that Jesus gets. But anyways, he bought this house, and we get to live there rent free for it's supposed to be 9-month terms. We're the first group through, so my cohort Caroline Hawthorne,
Shout out to her.
yeah, great musical comedian. She's there for 6 months, and then Joe Harmon's the other comedian. He's there for 9 months.
Shout out to Joe. I've met him, I
Yeah.
think, once.
Yeah, and so I'm there for the year, but Long John the comedian from Zimbabwe, will be coming in January or end of December. And so I'm really looking forward to him coming in.
I am as well.
Yeah.
I don't have much contact with comics that are like outside of the United States or not from here. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, it's got to be a whole different. It's going to be a whole different experience.
I don't know anything about the man. Just excited.
Yeah,
Excited to see something different, something new.
a very animated person.
There's no way he's going to be talking about the same shit we're talking
Yeah,
about here.
exactly. Like it's going to be completely different perspective and worldview, which is like really cool.
Your village is west. No, that's horrible. I shouldn't say shit. I don't know anything about Zimbabwe either.
No,
Full disclosure.
You've watched his stand up, and I'm like, I do. I'm curious. I'm like, how is this going to translate? Because there's got to be some amount of relatable material. Because I mean, just,
we're humans.
the stuff he's talking about is going to in some way relate. But I'm like, it'll be interesting to see how Pittsburgh or in larger parts pick it up on it. And he's already an established comic over there. Like he's won awards and stuff. So
I'm so excited.
I'm coming in and I'm like, dude, that's gonna be a cool learning experience to be like, what was that like?
I'm sure I will definitely have him through here.
Yeah,
If he'll be a guest.
yeah, he's definitely, and the impression I've gotten from him is definitely like wants to come out and do this stuff. So,
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we're doing at the Steel City. Like we're still slowly but surely that's getting converted over into a club. I think we all hoped that was going to be a little bit closer to done than what it was.
So it's not quite finished, but
right. Yeah, they're waiting on like some zoning stuff.
okay. But you guys have been throwing some shows at
Yeah, trying.
Thunderbird
Yeah, we did.
and Triumph.
Steve did the Thunderbird series. Hopefully, we're going to get some of those going back up. Yeah, we had started what we were hoping was a weekly mic at Trace. Apparently, the venue was like, weekly? Do you mean every week? Well, that's what the word fucking means. And they were like, well, we don't want every week. And I was like, well, bad news bears for you guys. We kind of said. So, yeah, we're looking for a forever home. Now we feel like rescue puppies.
Okay.
So that one.
I mean, that's
place
part
will
of
be-
the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always frustrating when you're like, oh, come on. You guys didn't pay attention.
I've burned out so many venues, madame. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
many places. It's one reason or another.
Yeah. And it's comedy. Venues open mics are tough to get
That
running
was an
in a
interesting
place.
venue as it is, though.
Yeah.
Like the placement of the general structure of the room didn't lend well to like.
Well, I was like, dude, you seriously bumped where your mic, the ideal placement for where this mic should be. You bumped me for a vegan taco stand.
Yeah, that was so weird.
I was like, you have this entire bar space. You have this other room. And you're like, nah, fuck that.
Main stage.
Yeah. I was like, oh, is this what you think of comedy? Yeah, I like in strip club terms. I was like, we're B stage girls.
Welcome to the main stage, vegan taco. Frank, let's get out of here. This is the worst fucking strip club I've ever been to.
Been to Portland. There is a vegan strip club. Has the best vegan buffet at Diablo's.
Wow. You know what? I know strip clubs are notoriously bad for their buffets.
Mm-hmm.
Really want to see what kind of work and care they put into the vegan buffet.
Well, it's because you have Diablo's, which is the vegan one, and then there is another one. What's its name?
Beef.
No, but it's known for its famous steak, and you're like, wow,
Ray's steak and titties.
Yeah, you really split the strip club aficionado community. Also, if you're a frequent enough person to go to a strip club that you eat there, you're probably not vegan. Like, I don't think you're like worried about your carbon footprint in the same way.
I mean, that's a hell of a complex person.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I don't believe in exploiting women, but I do.
They're working. They're working. Sex work is real work.
I want to make sure that I'm getting my my enough fiber. Really gotta have a digestive issue.
That's wild.
Yeah, Portland's a weird town.
Hey, man, there's a need for everything, I guess.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So how's your experience been in Pittsburgh so far?
Pittsburgh's been a fun town. It's been a lot of learning as we're going through and doing this. Because, I mean, I think one of the funnier things was just trying to figure out, like, you're coming into a new scene. And I'd never jumped scenes before I came up in the Seattle-Tacoma one. And they kind of have like mini scenes that you jump between Tacoma, even though they're 20 minutes apart from each other. Tacoma comics are different than Seattle comics, but they all kind of have to coexist.
There's East and West Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Whereas Pittsburgh, there's not enough comics to be like, hey, you can afford to write off this group or write off that group. But they sure fucking try.
That was a great time.
When you could do that?
When you could just be like, fuck this entire group of people.
Yeah, now you're like, hey, there's not enough mics going on. Fuck this.
I need some mic time, sir.
Yeah. So... and then just trying to figure out, like, what can you do? Because it's...
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Coming into this scene, then, when you jumped in, did you feel welcomed?
I think at first there were some people that were like, oh, what are these Steel City guys people going to be like?
Oh, you have no idea that bullshit, man.
Oh, I'm sure. And I was just like, my whole goal, like I've always said in comedy, like, I just be nice. Like, this job is hard enough. By being a shithead.
I think we briefly spoke online before you got here.
Might have.
And I remember seeing you out at a mic, and I wanted to introduce myself and be like, hey, nice to see you. But, like, just to let you know that it was warm and welcome. But and I don't think it was necessarily you guys personally. There's a lot of people about this. Oh, still, what's the deal here with these Steel City people? Just like, geez, they're fucking people. Give them a chance.
Yeah, no, and it's, I think people thought we were going to come in and run a scene, or try to, like, run people out of work, and I was like, oh.
Well, I've had countless conversations with different comics about this, and, like, the biggest point I was getting at, though, is, like, we're fractured.
Yeah.
There's no scene. These gatekeepers, empty gates. There's nothing to keep.
Yeah.
Like, we have nothing right now. I said, at worst, maybe this is a couple more mics a week.
Yeah.
And people are like, I don't know. It's a bad reputation. And then I tried to go, okay, do you see the man's success? You see what he's able to do? What the fuck does he need your 10 minutes for?
Yeah.
It was a, I don't know if people were being paternal or just petty or scared or what it was.
I think there's always reluctance when it's new and you're like, who is this person? Especially if, like, they're going to come in and all of a sudden they're asking for tapes for these showcases. And things like that.
Even still.
Yeah.
That is 101. Like, there's comedy 101. If someone asks you for a tape, that's not disrespect. You send them a fucking tape. That's what comics do.
Yeah. Well, and and some people are like, well, they should be at mics and they should see us. And it's like, well, that's not how that works. Sorry. Like, you're not going to get some people at these mics that are producing shows. They don't have time.
And this isn't aimed at you, obviously. No. But, so a booker who doesn't do comedy.
Yeah.
Asks you for a tape, are you going to say, oh, he should be at mics too?
Yeah, exactly.
If someone's producing a show, it doesn't fucking matter. Here's money, do comedy.
Yeah, it's, I mean, a comic at any level maybe not in your first 3-6 months. Have a decent tape that can show what you can do at that point. Is it going to be your forever tape? No, but it's not hard to get. Have decent audio, have it focused on you, and have it be your best 5 minutes. All that you ask, and it goes so much further with a booker than just if they like you and they saw you at a mic. Because if you're getting booked just by like I saw you there, unless you're a murderer, like that's not a fair representation.
And even there, murderers
Yeah,
don't always get it.
yeah, and I've been to enough Pittsburgh mics. It's tough to be a murderer in some of those rooms. It's not a knock on the room. It's just it's what an open mic is. It's mostly comics. You're going up God knows what time in the night. Who knows if anybody an actual audience is there.
People usually aren't there to hear you.
Yeah, no,
they're there to drink or whatever.
My favorite Pittsburgh mic experience has been, I think you were there that night. We were at the Parkway, and a guy is doing his set, and all of a sudden the door opens and this audience floods out. And it turns out they were coming from another comedy show that was actually in the Parkway, and the look of sheer terror on that audience's face of like, oh fuck, we came into another comedy show.
It's like Inception.
Yeah, and they're like, did we die in that theater? Is this hell? Are we in hell? Is this what happens? It's just comedy all the way down.
Oh man.
And and he just was standing there trying to get through his material. Like, props to him for trying to do it. And I was just loved every minute of being like, yes, this is what comedy is at a certain point.
Yeah. No, those experiences where you're like, I could die right now, but I guess I'm going to finish this set.
Yep. Well, and that's what I love. I've always told this. I think I was telling Mark Shimkitz after a show we did where I said he was up last, and I was pissed because like the three of us in the car and him all rode together, and we were waiting on him, but we were all at the front of the bill, and he was at the back, and it was just not a good show.
Was this in Ohio?
No, it was not.
Oh, was it in Newcastle?
Yeah, it might have been.
Okay.
I don't want to throw the producer under a bus, but we were doing it, and I was just like, "Look, you either need to kill or you need to eat shit, Mark." Because I said, what's going to happen is if you eat shit, we will all get in the car and we will bond over this shitty experience, because that's what happens. But if you fucking kill, the three of us are going to hate you. And that's also good for me. Like, that'll make all of us very happy. You will
Either way, I'm bonding with somebody.
Yeah. I'm like, it'll bring three of us closer together, and you are going to be just a little shit to us.
Oh, I've seen... I'm not one to comment because I've taken... I'll take shows, whatever I can get. And I saw you guys on those flyers, and part of me wanted to send you a message like, hey, I'm not here to tell anyone, but sometimes, kind of don't waste your time.
Yeah,
no disrespect to anybody.
Not all stage time is equal.
Yeah.
It's really like you don't have to say yes to every gig. There was a red flag that popped up for me when I messaged the guy, and I was like,
great.
"Hey man, do you want my tape?" And he's like, "No, I got you on the show." And I was like, "Oh no, don't do that."
Tapes. You wanted tapes?
Yeah.
I know. I think I know almost every single person on that show.
Yeah,
and I love them all. But it's rough spots. It's rough shows up there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's also what you learn in Pittsburgh is you're like, oh, this show isn't actually a thing. It's just you're fucking around in somebody's house.
This is close enough for a bunch of Pittsburgh comics. Why are there none on this?
Yeah.
It's only 40 minutes. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, I didn't know. I've heard this name, and then
nice enough guy. Nothing against him.
Well, it was. I was really excited because I was like, I'd heard this name. I didn't realize when somebody's like, "Oh, this guy's a murderer. He's great." I didn't realize they were fucking being sarcastic. And I was like, "Oh, oh no."
Who told you
that? I think it was when we were at the last time I was at Parkway, and they're like, "This guy fucking kills," and I'm like, "Huh."
The sarcasm was not clear.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh man." Again, we're too trusting, Cavin. We're too trusting. Again, if you were a woman, you'd be very dead.
Yeah, I often think that. I don't know. Like I work overnight most nights, so I get in the car, or people get in the car. I don't know who they are. I'm not worried about them. It's just it's unfortunate. I don't know why in my later years I'm more aware of this, but it's It's something.
I think if you're doing Lyft or Uber, you kind of have to have a low-key death wish.
It's not a death wish. It's more like an acceptance.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, okay, moment of honesty here, like comedy aside, I suffer from mental health issues. And a lot of times, my head will just fuck with me, for lack of a better term. Like, I'll be sitting here, things are going great. Maybe I'm stoned, enjoying a movie, got money in the bank account, and I'll think, man, you should just really kill yourself. Like, not emotional, not dramatic, just like, just end it. And sometimes I'll be in a ride, and like, I'm not scared of a sketchy neighborhood. I grew up in one. People get in the car, and I'm like, maybe this person shoots me. All right. Like, it's like a sad acceptance.
Dude, you get those intrusive thoughts, and they're
like, just kill it. Like, things are going great. Everything's amazing right now. Good time to kill yourself.
I don't know. I've gotten that every time I've driven in Pittsburgh.
Pour my heart out to you.
Yeah. No, I'm sympathetic. I understand. Every time I've driven in Pittsburgh, I'm like, I just died now. This is fine. I don't want to, but if it happens,
Yeah, it's not like I want to kill myself. I'm like, probably be the best thing for the world. Like,
yeah.
I'm out here terrorizing people.
I remember telling my therapist once, she's like, well, do you have suicidal thoughts? And I was like, no, but I have a lot of thoughts about just like not existing. And she's like, yeah, I don't really know how to classify that one. I need you to pick a side. And I was like, just...
Salutations, Shades, and welcome back to your one-stop shop for all things strange and unusual, Talking with Shadows, the conversation everyone has, but no one wants to admit to. Here with your host, Vic Whaley.
And Marcus D. Now come along with us as we explore the most obscure things our universe has to offer. We specialize in helping people make sense of the most bizarre phenomenon you'll ever come across. You'll get all the great topics such as UFOs, cryptids, and psychic phenomenon, but also some stories that are so spectacular, they scare people to believe that they're true. Now take a seat, and welcome to the One Candle Society. But always remember, keep believing.
'Cause we'll keep listening.
not being here.
My extremely apathetic joy for life.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, no, like, I'm cool keeping going. I like what I'm doing, but, like, also not would be cool, too.
I feel like no matter what, it's going to end in death. Like,
Yeah.
literally, no matter what. Sometimes I'm just tired.
Yeah. I do a joke about, like being fat like I am. And where it's like, it's so funny that if I told you I was going to put a gun in my mouth, everyone would be like, oh, God, don't do that. But if I just put more bacon on a sandwich, nobody does anything. Nobody will prevent that. And that's just it. I was like, am I suicidal via sandwiches? Is that how I've chosen to go out? Like,
Oh, my.
yeah.
That might be the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those jokes. No audience has ever enjoyed that thought. But I'm just like, I'm going to keep doing it. And eventually, one day, somebody will come up to me after a show and be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing too.
Well, that fucking sold me.
Yeah.
You've been married for 10 years.
Yeah, no. Suicide by Sandwich is my next merch shirt.
That's great.
It'll be my name of my album. Yeah, I've been married 10 years.
You like those transitions?
Yeah.
Suicide by Sandwich.
Real,
You've been married
real sharp.
for-
I'm going to share this one with my wife.
And with your wife, you host a podcast
Yeah.
by its cover.
Yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit.
So that podcast stemmed out of every movie night fight we've ever had, where it's like, what do you want to watch? And we don't agree. So my wife, she will not watch anything that's ever won an award. Yeah.
That's an odd
She has
trait.
shitty taste. And then I'm like, am I the one good thing she likes, or am I just a continuation of that trend? I don't know. I don't want to really pull threads on that one. But so what we agreed to do is we were like, we're just going to pick a movie based on its cover. Know nothing about it. And that's what we started turning this podcast into. So whenever we choose to update, it used to be weekly, but now I'm like, you get it when you get it. We pick a movie, know nothing about it. We look at the cover. We guess what we think the movie is going to be about. Because sometimes we'll find these movies that have these amazing covers. And then the movie is dog shit. And then we watch it, and then we talk about it. And we found some freaking gems. Like we found Wolf Cop, which
Never
is
heard of Wolf
amazing.
Cop.
A Canadian,
Sounds great.
Canadian horror comedy about a guy that is a shitty cop that becomes a werewolf. And he becomes a super cop. It led to a sequel called Another Wolf Cop. one of my favorite movies ever.
That sounds like a sequel to Teen Wolf.
Yeah, it does a little bit. It introduces. I really think the sequel is superior to the original, which never happens.
Oh, wow.
Introduces moon cocaine, which is always a plus.
Who doesn't want moon cocaine?
Anytime you get to watch a werewolf snort a line of moon cocaine, it's really just a good one. Yeah.
That's wild.
It led to Get Duked, which is a movie about four British like parolee kids, probation kids that are hunted by the Duke of Wellington for sport. Just hilarious. Like we've seen some good ones. We've also seen some just awful movies, but
I can imagine.
But yeah, we get a lot of fun out of that. And sometimes people will send us movies. Just know we never pick your movie because people will always send us like, here's one we're going to send you like Anus Face, and I'm like, we know what that's going to be about. It's not going to be anything different than The Tin. Like, stop sending me pseudo porn, please.
Anus Face. Oh God, that's the worst sequel to Teeth.
Yeah. Oh, that movie. God, that movie made me terrified of vaginas.
I watched that movie, and the whole time I kept hoping for like more interesting stuff to happen on screen.
I was like, well, how do you have that premise and you're not like some weird prosthetic shit?
Yeah.
Not that I want to see it, because that's also a running theme in By Its Cover is just we seem to always pick movies that have weird prosthetics on them. Like Wolf Cop, the first scene, like to let you know he's turning into a wolf, is just his dick exploding into a werewolf's penis.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen? You know what? Since you watched a bunch of obscure movies, have you ever seen Orgasmo?
I have. Yeah, that Matt Stone, Trey Parker.
Yes.
Goodness.
Yes. I remember that movie when I was younger because we used to get this channel. This was back in the cable days when there was a pay-per-view channel and it was broke and it was unlocked. And, like, I never turned it off because I didn't want to ever lose that channel. Mm-hmm. So I watched a bunch of stupid movies, and Orgasmo was one of them. And what a fucking movie.
Dude. So my experience with Orgasmo was, you remember Hollywood Video?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Does your
in the days before?
Yeah, it's like, did your viewers skew young? Do I have to explain video stores to them?
Mom, my brothers, a couple cousins. Hey, Dan Brady. Do you guys remember video stores?
Yeah, okay. So I took Orgasmo and I put it in the case for another movie. And then when they were scanning it, the guy like did this double take where he's like, "This is not Fern Gully." And then he just looks at me and I was like, Don't do this, man. Don't fuck this up for me. And he's just like, "Oh, okay." I was just making sure it was rewound. And he like rented me Orgasmo. And I was like 13, 14. I was like, I'm gonna see boobies. And then I get this movie and it's just a hilarious Matt Stone trip. I was like, this is sad boobies.
Yeah.
I mean, like 18, 19, 20 year like comedy Cavin would have really appreciated it, but like horny 14-year-old Cavin was like, this is bullshit.
I can't really play with myself to this.
Well, I can't giggle.
Yeah.
Well, there's boobs. I can't even remember if that movie even has nudity.
I don't think it does. I don't remember any boobs. I just remember a guy shooting his Orgasmo gun.
Yeah, and which sounds like it should have so many boobs, and it doesn't. So I was like, fine, I'm just going to watch Predator 2 again for that one scene of full frontal.
I used to watch the movie Time Cop because there was that one scene.
Yeah, quit fucking your computer. And now I've seen VR porn, and I'm like, I kind of get it.
You know, VR porn doesn't really do it for me. It's a little weird.
I don't understand what it's supposed. Like, I'm just okay. It's 3D.
Oh, this is supposed to be me. Oh,
yeah. And those people are like, oh, then it doesn't feel like it to you. It's like, it should feel like your hand. Like, what fucking weird paralysis do you have?
Yeah, I don't know. People go to great lengths. But I don't know. It's a real good time to promo yourself, Cavin.
Yeah. This is brought to you by VR porn. So, yeah, I can be found on my social media sites at Cavin_egg on everything from Twitter to TikTok. And then my website's CavinEggleston.com.
All right, guys. Make sure you check him out. Now, we were talking beforehand.
Yeah.
Because I always bring up paranormal experiences with guests.
Yeah.
And you said you don't believe you have seizures?
Yeah. So I had a seizure disorder that actually causes hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. So basically, as I'm falling asleep or as I'm waking up, part of my brain doesn't kick off. So I stay stuck in REM physically, but my brain kind of wakes up, which causes basically sleep paralysis as a byproduct. If you've never had sleep paralysis, it's every time you've ever been asleep and then you are convinced you're awake and you can't move. And usually it's accompanied by something like you think something's on, like mine usually like something on the foot of the bed moving towards me or sitting on my chest. It's a lot of like thoughts of shadow people or men in black or demons comes from. So I have that, and I'll have ones that are really bad where like it'll be something whispering in my ear like you need to eat your face, and I'll wake up and I'll just have like bit my lip bloody, stuff like that.
Cavin,
Yeah,
hold on.
yeah,
Slow down. What?
yeah.
Because, okay, that sounds way different than what I was expecting you to say.
Oh no,
Like, that's some shit, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not,
no, it's all good.
what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I've had like a little demon that's just been like, you're gonna eat your face, and then I'll be like, oh, I chewed through my lip again. That's cool. And then I'll be just angry at my wife. I'm like, you didn't wake me up. And she's like, you were asleep. I'm like, well, you should always wake me up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And that just comes from the sleep paralysis?
Yeah, that's so have you never had sleep paralysis?
No.
Oh shit. So it's one of those things that usually people have an experience with. Like for a lot of people it happens around puberty because their body's growing and hormones get out of whack and stuff. And it kind of goes away, but yeah, like usually people have an experience with it. And that's where they'll be like, "Oh, I saw this strange shape at the foot of my bed." And it'll be stuff like something telling you, oh, you can't move or you can't wake up, and you just have a feeling of dread. And with the hallucinations, like I get really vivid ones. So I'm just like, oh, that's probably what a lot of people's like paranormal experiences are, is just some level of that.
Now, forgive me to push back a little
Yeah.
bit here, but part of that sounds like a convincing argument.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not doing a good job being like, yeah, it's all fake.
It'd be so weird to be like, like I know, like one of the things is humans like stories. Like our brains, we thrive on stories. That's why, I mean, we are in professions where the ability to tell a convincing story is the most important thing we can do. So your brain will stitch together like all of these these inputs into a compelling narrative. It's the same reason why, like, if you ever had that dream where like you wake up right before your alarm clock's going off and you're like, oh my God, I'm psychic, or like, I'm dreaming the phone's ringing and it's this person. And I check my phone and it is ringing and it is this person. It's just like your brain. It's not that you're psychic, it's your brain's just stitched together a quick narrative to be like, this is how these connect. So that's kind of what I think happens in a large case. But I totally get, like, if I was a more spiritual person, would be like, this is the other side. Then I'd have to decorate my house in like crucifixes and shit and put like a line of salt under my bed. I'd get real weird about it if I actually chose to believe in that stuff.
I thought I had a crucifix.
Yeah, did you? I saw you checking around for it. You're like, wait,
I did. Maybe there's one somewhere.
You didn't think you were
couple
bringing
in the
a
house,
dude
but-
that, means sleeps next to demon talks
Oh,
into your
man.
house. So
I mean,
this is how they get in.
Yeah, no. Cavin, when you say something whispered in my ear, you need to eat your face, and then you wake up biting through your lip.
Yeah.
That's fucking intense, man.
Yeah, that's not usually like that was one when I first moved to Pittsburgh that kept happening.
Oh, that's the Pittsburgh demon. bro.
Yeah. I was like, fuck your Steelers. You got demons in this town. No, that one was one, and I was like,
They're all on the south side at 2 a.m. Hey-o!
yeah, I'm in Lawrenceville. At least get the hipster demons. They're like, hey, bite through your lip and put some essential oil on it.
I was haunting people before I was cool.
Yeah. Oh God.
Boo.
Lawrenceville.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'm totally feel like scaring somebody today, but not really. You ever get that feeling?
Yeah,
Like,
can
you
we
don't
just-
want to haunt?
Can we just Uber Eats a soul in?
A joke wasn't funny.
Oh, Pittsburgh
man.
audiences.
So
The
what
only ones
is-
that'll tell you you're not funny.
Yeah, aggressively. It wasn't funny. All right, fuck you, dude. I'm trying my best. Tell me about these seizures. What did you say they were called?
They're called idiopathic seizures. Well, basically, all that word is a fancy way of saying, like, fuck if we know.
If anything, we're a podcast of science here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the doctors are just like, yeah, you're having them. Like, we can see these happening. Don't know why. Don't know what causes them.
That's so strange, man. There's so much we know about the human body, and I guess there's still so much more to learn.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those brain things that, like, they came on when I was 18. So it's not like a thing I had as a kid. They've diminished. So what they think it was just like an input of like stress and anxiety and just like getting that all worked out helped a ton. But anytime I get stressed or anxious, like when I first moved to Pittsburgh here, I had also, so my timeline is find out I'm get into Steel City in June. I also had decided I was quitting teaching and taking some time off. Moved to Indianapolis like the week before I moved to Pittsburgh. I've actually stayed more nights in Pittsburgh than I have in the house I is supposedly live in Indianapolis.
So you supposedly live there?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've been through there a couple times. Not a bad place.
So yeah, it's a fun little hub city. I mean, it's called Naptown for a reason. It's a little bit dull and boring, but I like Indy. My wife seems to like it now. So yeah, but it's been that was that transition, and I was like, man, I slept like shit for a while.
Yeah.
And so I think that just exacerbated it and made it worse. And then you're like, hey, then I'm asleep, and then I've got 2 roommates that I'm like, oh, this is weird to have roommates again. It's weird. It's weird to be a 35-year-old man having roommates again, because I'm like, oh, is this a trial for a divorce? Is this what I'm just doing the pre-funking for it? Is that what this is? So
Yeah, like I mean, I've been through the prison system a few times, so like the roommate thing, I get to an extreme level.
That's a little different one.
And I'd be lying if I said, I wouldn't be able to adjust to that, because obviously
you kind of have to.
Yeah. But I feel you as a grown man, 34. I don't have anybody who lives in my house. I think I'd be hard to live with at this point.
Yeah. Well, the hardest one for me was like, oh, I have to put on pants. Like I have to have pants on for way too much of my life right now.
Tell me about it. This podcast, my biggest inconvenience about it today was putting on clothes.
Yeah.
I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. It's like my wife, she's like, how do you survive? And I was like, I don't. I stay in my room. And it was like, at least then I could just be in boxers. And it's not even like I'm just like, oh, pants are problems. I'm just like, I don't want to be in a denim prison in my house.
Sweats, man.
Yeah.
I hate being the fat guy in sweats, but fuck it. I'm just gonna be comfortable.
Man, I don't know. I think it's always got awkward because somebody was like, if you buy gray sweats, it means you think you have a big dick. And I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't think now what color sweats I'm wearing defines me in some way.
I have gray sweats on now. I assure you that's not the case.
Yeah.
You know what? People give me a lot of shit too at Mike's. Like, I'm in my flip flops. I'm in my fucking sweatpants. So I put on some. I'm like, fuck you.
I will die on the hill that shorts and fucking flip flops don't belong at Mike's. That's just my stance. I have never judged a comic for it, but then there's always low key in the back of my head, like, well, I wouldn't do it.
I show up in my flip flops all the time, and like that's a hill I'll die on. Because like I told somebody the other day, professional show, I wear shoes. You pay me, I wear shoes, no problem. But wear a mic, go fuck yourself.
I'm like, if you're at a club, definitely. If you're, to me, it's if you're on any sort of elevated stage, put on pants. I don't need to accidentally see a nut hanging out.
I mean, how low are your nuts hanging?
Dude, I'm getting old.
And how high are your shorts?
I'm getting old, and I'm not boxer briefing it. All right, I need more freedom in my life. But also, it's just like anytime that anything that like distracts me a little bit, I'm like, don't make me aware of it. Like I have my ankle or my ankles, both my calves are tattooed. I don't want to have an audience looking at those while I'm up there and trying to be like, wow, why does he have a devil on one of his legs? He seems like such a nice man talking about teaching.
Yeah, I understand that because I have tattoos on my legs too, and like I feel like they would be distracting.
Yeah.
But I'm a pants guy as it is.
But also, it's like you're in Pittsburgh, so you always have exceptional calves because of all the fucking hills in this place.
Oh, my calves are fucking humongous.
Yeah. Well, you're a bigger dude like me. That's the only part of our body that still has muscle definition, so we just hold on to it.
Define. Look at these calves. Look at these calves.
Yeah, that's why my wife, she's like, you always have really nice calves. I'm like, I know, girl. Bam. You like that? Bam. I calved you. You got calved.
Caught my wife because of the calves.
Yeah. That's all I could do. I was like, I'm not going to do it with abs. You get calves. Look lower.
My wife loved the fact that I was heavy and like would get mad at me if I would try and lose weight and shit. It's probably unhealthy.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, but it was nice to have a partner who wasn't.
Did you have a feeder? Was she trying to get you fatter?
She wasn't necessarily trying to get me fatter, but when I would eat a big meal or cook something really big, she would get like joy in her heart to watch me eat it. I think if I would have said like, I want to gain another 60 pounds, she would have tried to feed me.
Damn.
She was real supportive.
That's sweet. She's helping you pursue those dreams.
At one point, I was like, And my heaviest, I was 380.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember being like 320 and telling her, I want to lose some weight. And I tried to drop like 10 pounds because that's going to make a fucking difference.
Yeah.
But anyways, I dropped like 10 pounds, and she got mad and talking about, I'm shrinking to nothing, and blah, 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 blah. And every time I talk to my mom, she asks me if I've eaten, if I need something to eat. So I feel like it's been a conspiracy my whole life for the women in my life to flatten me up.
Well, my sister was an anorexic and bulimic. And I think it's incredibly ironic that my parents raised 2 kids with 2 totally different eating disorders. I think it's hilarious. Nobody else finds it as amusing as I do. But I'm like, how much of what I am is like a response to my sister never eating?
Yeah, I was going to say, which one's older?
My sister's the older one, and it was
so they're
rough.
like, fuck, that didn't work. Try and go the other way with this one.
They're like, well, let's never say no to him around food. And they're like, that won't have any negative consequences. I'm like, you guys should have found there was a happy medium somewhere. Like, if they had a third kid,
He'd be like,
that little fucker would have had like 2% body fat, and we would have hated him.
he would have been an athlete, a star athlete in school.
In a sport not known for fat people, it wouldn't have been a defensive lineman or something. He would have been a quarterback.
He'd have been like a defensive end.
Yeah.
Or I said defensive back. Something like that. I don't know. My biggest problem is like I equate food with like joy and like a reward system. So I keep trying to lose weight and I'm struggling. Like I keep yo-yoing a little bit. And now I'm picking up a few more pounds. And it's just like, oh, fuck, I don't know what's wrong with me.
No, it's food being joy sucks if your brain gets wired that way. Because like that's what I was raised with. Like, hey, you had a good thing happen. Let's have like a meal about it, or
Let's
so you
order
can
pizza.
celebrate. Yeah,
let's go out to eat. Let's go out to dinner.
and then what sucks is like when shitty things happen, you're like, well, I want to feel joy again. So you order a whole pizza, and then you're like, well, now I'm just gonna destroy a toilet and feel depressed tomorrow. Well, better eat again to make my way out of it.
Yeah, it's a cycle, man. And you know what? Like I said, I was 380 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Never gave a fuck about how big I was, any of that, until during the pandemic I lost 50 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And now I put on a little bit of that weight back. Now, like, my self-conscious and body issues are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I used to just be like, I'm a man, I'm fat, whatever. You know what I mean? Fuck it doesn't matter.
I think the first time it really got to me is like I saw a picture of myself on stage, and I was like, well, you look very happy. You also look very, very obese. Maybe you should do something about that, man.
The only thing that keeps me together are my forearms. Like, you still look like you got good choking forearms, John.
Yeah.
Until then, you know.
Well, it's because you got them covered in tats. So, like,
they look good. They're pretty.
I feel like forearms add, like, definition, or, like, the tattoos add definition that doesn't exist in our, like, everyday lives. Because, like, mine are pretty bare. And I'm like, oh, I got little spindly tick arms. I look like a bug that overfed.
You don't have tick arms, dude.
I just always feel like I'm like your little tiny stubs around like a little chubby body.
It's
I'm like if you made a marshmallow person with pretzel arms.
Yeah. The images we have about our bodies.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable, you know.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would be sympathetic to the younger ones that are struggling with that and don't quite know where to go.
Yeah.
I know that got a bit serious.
Yeah, that is.
But
yeah, kids.
Let's make a marshmallow with pretzels.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what I always feel like.
Cavin, anything you want to add? Let the people know before we get off here.
Gosh, find me on social media. You guys, I think audiences never understand that social media stuff. Find a person that makes you laugh and follow them. Like, God, it helps. It helps so much.
Folks, you heard it. He definitely made me laugh this whole episode.
Yeah.
Funny guy, hilarious comic, even better human. This is the point in the episode, though, where I ask people for a piece of advice to the listeners, whether it be about comedy or about teaching or whatever you think is a good piece of advice to give to the people. What would you say?
Man, try something. You'll never know what you like until you try it. I always tell my students, high school is the time to try what you like and then also find out what you don't like. And I think that's just true in life. So I never would have tried stand-up if I wouldn't have found a way to push myself into it. And it turned out I loved it. I wouldn't have found people that I like and enjoy hanging out with, like Johnny, if I wouldn't have tried to go to Pittsburgh. You just never know, so just try something. The worst that can happen is you can hear no. And that's not bad. And get used to failure. Like, most of my successes come from failing a lot before it. And even if I call this success, came from like hearing no in other places. So try something, fail, and then do more of it.
Thank you, man. That was
Yeah.
beautiful. Guys, make sure you check him out. Phenomenal. I can't recommend him highly enough. I don't know. We got some big guests coming up. Really big episodes in the future here. I'm actually going to be recording one later with a lady who's a talent agent, among many other things.
Damn.
We got Gab Benesso in studio this week. We got quite a few people rolling through. So just pay attention to that. Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell somebody about this fucking show. Say, hey, there's this fat guy in Beaver Falls trying his goddamned hardest.
You heard that. There's a fat beaver out there with your name on it.
Hey, whatever gets the traffic
Yeah.
going. But until next time, guys, thank you and peace and
The
love.
Inquisitive Minds Podcast.